Good afternoon, and welcome to True Crime Mysteries, where we take a dive into some of the world's most prolific crimes. If this is your first time to the channel, hello, welcome, and thank you for being here. Today, we are continuing on the cold case that had been without leads for 20 years. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, please do so now, as we're just going to continue on where we left off. In the late 1990s, once DNA evidence began being critical for convictions, the LA Police Department formed a new unit which looked through forensic evidence collected from cold case files, ran them through the various databases to see if anything came of it. In 2004, Jennifer Butterworth was assigned to the Rasmussen file. Butterworth noticed that not all of the evidence was in the box. The DNA evidence had been checked out by an officer in 2003 and never put back. She spent days hunting for it, and after a week, she found it in the back of a coroner's freezer. She ran the samples through and reaffirmed that most of the DNA evidence was Sherri's. However, the sample from the bite mark was determined to be female, and it didn't hit any matches in CODIS. This completely changed the theory that Sherri had been murdered by two men. She had begun to go through the rest of the evidence and came across a note from a statement that Sherri had been harassed by a woman. When she asked her supervisor if this woman was worth looking into, her supervisor insisted that it was a burglary and to leave the case alone. The case was put back into storage. In 2009, detectives Jim Nuttall and Pete Barba came across the Rasmussen file and thought it was interesting enough to look at it again. The thing they thought was most interesting was the DNA evidence pointing to a female assailant. They decided that this invalidated the theory of a botched burglary and began again from scratch. They noted that nothing of value was removed from the home. The condo was in the middle of a gated complex surrounded by other units. It was highly visible in the daylight, and the fact that the home alarm system had not been engaged and the front door had not been tampered with. This quickly became a murder investigation that had been staged as a burglary to throw off a police investigation. Another note was that the evidence pointed to a struggle beginning upstairs and continuing down the stairwell, but the equipment that the burglars were supposedly there to steal were neatly stacked at the top of the stairs. Had the burglary theory been scrutinized, it would have made more sense that the equipment was collected up and stacked after the fact. There was also a bloody thumbprint-shaped mark on a record player that was noted. It was a similar print left by someone wearing gloves, further validating that the killer was familiar with police investigations. They had 5 female suspects, and Detective Nuttall called John to get more information. Nuttall was shocked to discover that the ex-girlfriend of John was in law enforcement, and he was familiar with Stephanie Lazarus. She currently outranked him and was part of the elite robbery homicide division. Stephanie Lazarus quickly made it to the top of the suspect list. When Nuttall and Barba theorized how they would commit a murder, they thought it would be best to do it on a day off. Lazarus was off the day of the murder. They thought they wouldn't be able to use their duty gun because losing it would open up an investigation, but using a backup or personal weapon wouldn't. Lazarus reported a .38 caliber weapon stolen 13 days after the murder. And lastly, a working patrol officer would know just enough to make a crime scene look like a burglary. Stephanie Lazarus began her career in the LA Police Department as a beat cop. Stephanie had always been described as a cop's cop. She had worked very hard and eventually got to working the art theft detail. Working the art theft detail was very high profile. It was always in the news, always a department that got a lot of buzz. Not the type of attention one would assume an active murderer would draw to themselves. She rose to the ranks to be a highly respected detective. Lazarus had always kept tabs on the Rasmussen cold case, occasionally checking out evidence or asking investigators if there were any leads. In 1996, Lazarus married a fellow cop and adopted a daughter with him. Lazarus was living a seemingly normal life, having a successful career, attended school events, and prepared items for bake sales. She was very involved in her community. The detectives began taking statements from friends and family of Sherri and were shocked that none of the instances where Lazarus had stalked and confronted Sherri had never been put in the case file. The detectives began to plan for the arrest. The case was presented to senior officers and prosecutors, and it was transferred to the Robbery Homicide Division, the very same division that Lazarus worked in. Everything needed to be handled very carefully. On the day of the arrest, a dozen officers were brought into the department before dawn, each given search warrants and told to wait. Meanwhile, Lazarus began her commute into the city. Specific detectives were assigned to handle the arrest, all of them selected because they didn't have a personal connection to Lazarus. They decided to call Lazarus down to the Parker Center. This location was selected because Lazarus would need to surrender her weapon in order to enter. This minimized the possibility of her harming herself or other officers when she was to be arrested. Lazarus thought she would be interviewing a suspect in one of her cases. Instead, she was sat in a room with Detectives Stearns and Jaramillo.
I didn't want to bring this up in your squadron.
You won't do that?
Oh, no, it's fine. I think we're good.
I just have to record it to you're gonna bring somebody in, right?
Yeah, well, I can explain the whole thing
That's
to you.
fine.
I don't want to talk about this in the squadron because
that's okay.
I don't know who people are listening.
That's true,
And if
that's
we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is
sure,
doing.
no problem.
Okay. But like we're talking about being busy and stuff, we've been assigned a case that we've been looking at.
Okay.
It's a new case, and reviewing the case, there's some notes to see as far as your name being mentioned.
Okay.
Do you know John Rutten?
John Bruton. John Rutten?
Rutten.
Oh yeah, I went to school with him.
You did?
Yeah.
How long did you know him?
Gosh, I went to school in let's see, went to UCLA in 1978. I started and met him at school at the dorms.
Mm-hmm. Were you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we're very close friends. I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's a case we're working on. It involves John, and in there, some of the statements we reviewed, there's notes and stuff that he knew you and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, we good friends. Lived in the dorms I lived in the dorms for 2 years.
You guys lived in the same dorm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dykstra.
Okay. Were you guys just friends or anything else, or?
Yeah, we were good friends.
Yeah. Was there ever any relationship or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated. I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago.
Did you ever meet her?
God, I don't know.
Do you know who she was or anything?
Well, let me think. God, it's been a long time ago. I may have met her. Geez.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me ask you. You said you dated John. How long did you guys date?
I mean, are you guys? Is this something? I mean, you said I was going to interview somebody about art, and how you guys are.
Here's
I mean,
Stephanie. Here's the situation. Is basically, we knew that this when we saw this in this chrono that maybe there was some relationship there. That's what the chrono seemed to indicate, and we didn't want to come up to you at your desk and ask those kinds of questions or do anything. You know how up there people can see what's going on if you go into an interview room or people are in there getting supplies.
Okay. I mean,
so we wanted to afford you some privacy, some confidentiality to talk about this because we thought it might be, something, you're married to someone else, obviously, and so forth, and that you may not want to, talk about these things in that setting where someone, we don't want the rumor mill or gossip or any of that kind of stuff to start.
That's fine. I mean,
so we did this just as a means to try and speak to you in just a confidential place where where your business isn't out there for other people in your division to know about.
God, that's been a million years ago. I mean, what year is it now? 2009. I mean, I graduated in 82. 82, yeah. We dated. I dated other guys. I'm sure he dated other girls.
Well, let me ask you, roughly how long would you say you guys dated?
geez. I couldn't even say. I mean, I started school there in 78.
Mm-hmm.
I started UCLA in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated in 82. I don't even remember what year he graduated, if it was a year or two before me.
Okay.
I think he was a little bit older than I was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, I can't remember if he was born, let's say I'm born in 1960. I don't know if he was born in 58 or 59. I mean, I knew his parents, I knew his sister, his brother went to Northridge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his sister had spent the night at my house before. Obviously, I spent the night at his house before. He probably spent the night at my house before. You know, yeah, I don't.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because from what you're telling me, is you guys dated while you were in college together, right?
Yeah, and probably after college. I can't. Geez, trying to think when I met my husband. I met my husband in, when did I meet Scott? Let's see. I was teaching DARE because I met Scott when I was teaching DARE up in Oregon. But we had long stopped, you know, dating before that.
So you haven't talked to him for a long time?
Oh, I think I haven't talked to him in a long time. I couldn't even tell you when the last time I talked to him. I met Scott, I'm thinking in 92 maybe, April of 92. It was
Scott being your husband.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was teaching DARE. Let's see, what year is this? We'll be married. I got married in 1996. I think I met Scott in 92. Prior to that, I couldn't tell you how long I had talked to John prior to that.
But since you met your husband, Scott, you haven't talked to him?
I mean, he may have called me once or twice before we got married.
Right.
You know, geez, I moved to Simi in 1994 because I lost my house in the earthquake.
Oh, really?
Quite honestly, I probably keep in contact with a few people from the dorms. We all lived on the 10th floor, and there's about 3 or 4 people I keep in contact with. There's probably like 6 or 8 of us that were all really close.
Mm-hmm.
And who are those people?
Oh, geez, Diana Basta. People I still keep. I haven't been in contact with her in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, what's this all about? I mean.
Well, let me ask you, what ended the relationship between you and John?
You know, it was kind of a weird relationship. I mean, we dated. I can't say that he was my boyfriend. I don't know that he would consider me his girlfriend. We dated. We did things. I played sports in college. He played basketball. His brother played basketball. We just, you know, it just didn't work out. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It was like I went out with other guys, saw other guys. I went on lots of vacations. You know.
And once you guys split, were you guys still friends, or kind of, you know,
I
problems?
mean,
Is it friendly, not friendly?
No, I don't think it was not friendly. I mean, we were friendly. I know that we went to Hawaii at one point. Another friend of mine who's actually dying right now went to Hawaii with us at some point.
Remember roughly when that was?
Oh, geez. Let me think. I'd have to check my pictures. Or I'd say I'd ask Greg, but my friend Greg is like dying of liver cancer right now. Yeah, I mean, you know.
And you were saying that
it's 2009 now.
Had you ever met his wife?
I may have.
Do you remember her name or anything, or? Or what she did for a living, or where she worked, or anything about her?
Well, I think I'm going to say that I think she was a nurse. Man, I can't even remember how he said he met her. You know, I mean, I mean, it's been so long ago.
Well, let me ask you, did you go to their wedding, you know?
No, I didn't go to their wedding. No, did not go to their wedding. Couldn't even tell you what year he got married.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, it's been a million years ago.
Do you ever remember if you ever talked to her? Because it seems like a lot of you who were at at the school at UCLA, you guys kind of were friends during and after school, so I don't know if you guys still associated afterwards once he was married or anything.
With him?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I would say, you know, the people that were on the dorm floor, we'd have get-togethers. There's probably like 4 or 5. I don't think he ever came. Yeah, I don't think. No, it was mostly girls. You know, a girl named Smita, Diane. There's 2 Dianes, but the one Diane, I don't think she ever came. I kind of lost contact with her. We were good friends on the floor. Yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, again, I mean, what, you know, I don't understand why you're talking about some guy I dated a million years ago.
Well, do you know what happened to his wife?
Yeah, I know she got killed.
What did you hear about that?
I saw a poster at work. I'm sure I spoke to him about it. I think I spoke to another friend of his about it.
And how did you first learn about that?
Jeez. Someone could have called me. I could have heard it at work. I think at one point there may have been a flyer or something. I know a good friend of his.
Were you on the job back then when that happened?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm sure I was on the job. That's why I would have heard about it with the flyer. He had a good friend, Mike Boldrick. Anyways, he may have lived in the dorms. I don't remember if that's how I met him. I may have talked to him. I mean, you know, I don't remember how I heard. I mean, I don't even remember what year it was.
And you said you thought his wife was a nurse. Do you have any idea where she was working at the time, or did he ever mention that to you? Was it a hospital or a doctor's office?
I'm sure he must have mentioned it. Now that you're bringing that up, I think she worked at a hospital somewhere. And yeah, I may have met her at a hospital. I may have talked to her once or twice.
At a hospital?
Or more. You know.
But being that you used to see John, you know, was everything okay between you guys? I mean, there was never anything uncomfortable or anything between you and her?
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's been so many years. I mean, uncomfortable. I mean, I can't even remember if we had a conversation. I mean, we may have. I may have seen her at his apartment. You know, geez, how many years ago was that? I don't even know what year she, you know, got killed.
Where was his apartment?
On Roscoe.
Okay.
Yeah, Roscoe and east or west of DeSoto. Either east or west of DeSoto.
Do you know where he moved after? Did he move after he got married, or do you know, or?
I'm sure he did.
Did you know where he was living, or?
Somewhere in the valley.
Did you ever visit him and his wife?
No.
No, never went out to, you know, get together, dinners, anything of that nature?
No. Like I said, his sister used to come over. His sister had come to my place. I knew his brother because his brother played basketball at Northridge. In fact, I was just coming across some pictures that I had just scanned from. I take a lot of photos, like 10,000, and I just did a service where I scanned everything. And I'd seen some pictures of his brother playing basketball.
You just put them all on your computer so you could have them accessible and do things with them?
Well, my partner is a big photo thing, and he had a deal to scan. So I spent a ton of time just scanning photos. You know what?
And this is at her house during the period of time that they're married.
That's just not sounding familiar at all. I mean, you know what? That's just not sound. Again, if someone says that I was at her house and I had an incident with her, that just doesn't sound. You know, was John there? Did John say this happened? Because, and other people were there. I don't recall. I mean, it just doesn't sound, you know, familiar.
And this is an incident where you showed up. You weren't supposed to show up, and things got heated.
At his house? Yeah. That just doesn't sound familiar. I mean, no. You know, it's not sounding familiar.
So
Not at all.
now you're saying not familiar because it's just something
Well,
you remember, or
well,
it's just.
you know what? I'd have to say I don't remember, because I don't remember. That doesn't sound familiar.
I mean, would you
you know,
remember something like that in your life? If
well, I would think,
some
but
sort of drama involving, the other woman type of thing?
Well,
Did you ever fight with her?
you mean like we fought?
Yeah. Did you ever
Yeah.
duke it out with her?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
You'd remember that, right? That would be pretty.
yeah, I would think so. I
Pretty
mean,
specific,
yeah, like I said, I mean,
dramatic.
obviously, I mean, it just doesn't sound familiar. I mean, what are they saying? So I fought with her. So now I mean, I'm getting the jump, the leap. Excuse me, I haven't eaten. They're saying, okay, I fought with her, so I must have killed her. I mean, come on. I mean, that's, I don't even know who these people are. I can't even say I met any of these people. I mean, it's insane. If it happened, I honestly don't remember it. That's all I can tell you. I mean,
but I don't know. I mean, would it be something you would remember? I mean, because I don't know if any other intense incidents in your life that have occurred. I mean, you'd recall those, right? I mean,
well,
like a use of force at work or a car crash, something you're involved in. You'd be like, yeah, I remember.
you would think I would remember. I mean, I would think if it was something that crazy. I mean, I can't say. You say, how many fights have you gotten into? In your life. I mean, a few at work.
Well, fights at work are kind of different because we've all had uses of force or whatever. But
well,
I mean,
haven't even had even a lot of those. I mean,
right, but if you're actually,
I mean, I played.
Like if Dan and I got mad at each other and we threw blows in the squad room, I mean, 20 years later, I would remember it. I mean,
I would think I would remember it, but
unique.
that's what I'm saying. That's not sounding familiar to me at all. I mean,
let me ask you. I mean, throughout your life, would you remember the number of fights you've been involved in? And I don't mean kind of like a bump or something, just a physical fight where everybody's hitting each other, scratching, pulling, whatever.
Maybe. I mean, I can't say I've been in a lot. I played sports.
Yeah.
You get into scuffles there, and
and you recall some of those, right? I mean, just.
Yeah, I can recall some of them.
Games get intense.
But like I said, you saying this is just not ringing a bell.
Nothing.
I mean, but I don't know what to tell you. That's just not ringing a bell to me.
It'd be something.
I would think I would remember.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're in this.
I would think so too.
If you're in this other girl's house and
but
words are exchanged, I mean, you figure you recall.
I would think.
Especially if it got physical, right?
Well, I would think.
And it's relating to, a guy that you were dating and that she's dating now, and it's just kind of like a whole love triangle type of thing. I mean, you figure you'd remember that, right?
Well, I would think.
So.
I mean, I don't know what to still tell you.
Yeah. No, because I'm looking at the notes and these people are kind of, they're pointing the finger at you.
Well.
And.
I mean, that's not ringing a bell to me, so, I don't know, it's, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that just sounds crazy to me.
Yeah, so you, offhand, you don't recall ever going into her house and having words and physically,
No.
attacking her attacking you?
No.
Nothing like that?
No, I mean, no.
Nothing?
No. No. Not at all.
Okay. Well, on some of the, on this case, this occurred in '86, right? Detectives processed the scene, things of that nature. They did fingerprints and all that stuff. The standard stuff. I mean, you've been doing this longer than I have.
Well, not about that. I got 26 years on, going on 26.
19, so. But, as they processed everything, they did the best they could at that time, and they looked at a lot of people and different things in this case. And you're right.
I mean, if you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, then, I got a problem with, with that.
Okay.
Okay? So, if you're doing this as an interrogation, you're saying, hey, I'm a suspect. Well, now I got a problem with, now you're accusing me of this? Is that what you're saying?
We're trying to figure out what happened, Stephanie.
Well, I'm just saying, do I need to get a lawyer if you're accusing me of this? you know.
You don't have to. I mean, you know,
I'm
you're
just,
here of your own free will. I mean,
no,
you
oh,
don't,
I know, but
I mean, you know you're not under arrest. You can walk out
you
whenever
can leave
feel
whenever
like.
you like.
well,
But-
you know, I'm trying to give you some background of, you know, how I knew him, and now you're telling me that somebody's saying that we had this big old fight, and I don't even know what you're talking about, you know, and I don't want to, you know, get in trouble for something that I didn't even do, or you're saying I did something.
Okay.
Yeah, we understand.
I mean, how would you guys like it if the tables were turned on you?
I understand. No.
No, that's what we're telling you. I mean, you're free to go whenever you want. If this makes you uncomfortable and you want to,
Well, now you're starting to make me uncomfortable.
The thing is, I mean, detectives did what they could at that time on the crime scene. Okay, and the burglary thing you're talking about, that is an angle that they looked at. I go, but now we're looking at everything else on the case, because nobody was ever arrested on the case.
I don't know that or not.
Okay. Now, what we'd like to do is, obviously you know about all the DNA stuff and things of the nature that, you know, gets done on cases nowadays. You know, if we asked you for a DNA swab, would you be willing to give us one?
Maybe. Because now,
because
now
now
I'm thinking I probably need to talk to a lawyer.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
because I know how this stuff works, okay? Don't get me wrong, you're right, I have been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And I wish I had been recording this because now it sounds like, you know, there's, you know, you're telling these people say I'm fighting with her, and now it sounds like you're trying to, you know, I've been doing this a long time.
yeah.
We know.
Okay? And now it almost sounds like you're trying to pin something on me.
No,
now
but-
I got that sense.
Well, what it gets to on these cases, and you know it as well as I do, our job is to identify and eliminate
I
suspects.
can't believe this.
So if we ask you to the point to give us a DNA sample, a buccal swab, so we can identify or eliminate you, would you be willing to do that?
Maybe.
Well,
Because I know this,
well, that's where we're at too. I mean, because right now, from looking at the evidence, it's, you know, it's possible we may have some DNA at the location.
That's great.
And we're going to do what we can to try to put this thing together. And your name's in the book. These people are pointing at you for whatever reason.
I don't know why.
And-
That's just crazy. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
And it would be irresponsible on our part not to look at it.
I know. You guys have to do your job,
And-
and I guess I'm going to have to contact somebody. So,
That's fair.
I mean, because I know how this stuff works. I
Sure.
mean, I just can't believe it.
That's.
Like
I mean,
it's-
we understand that. I mean, if we were in your position, I mean, we would feel the same way.
I just can't even believe it. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that somebody would be saying that I did this. I mean, we had a fight, and so I went and killed her. I mean, come on.
Well,
That's,
okay.
All right.
well, thanks for giving me the courtesy. I wish I tape recorded it.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Stephanie, take care.
All right.
This is absolutely crazy.
Have a seat, Stephanie.
This is insane.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. Stephanie, you know you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes,
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
yes,
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
yes.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge before any questioning if you want. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us right now?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
This
then.
is crazy.
Okay.
This is I'm like in shock. I'm totally in shock.
After the investigation, Lazarus was arrested. At the time of her arrest, her home, car, and office were searched. Police located her journals from the mid-1980s, and in the journal, she detailed her feelings of John's engagement to Sherri and her depression. Her home computer showed she continued to do internet searches on John Rutan on several occasions during the 1990s. As the investigation progressed, coworkers began coming forward detailing Lazarus's erratic behavior in the workplace. Her nickname was Spazarus, but all seemed shocked that she was capable of murder. Lazarus's ongoing cases were dropped. Prosecutors didn't feel that they could get a conviction when the lead detective was being arrested for murder. She was allowed early retirement from the LA Police Department, and she was held in the Los Angeles County Jail for 6 months before her sentencing hearing, to which the judge set a $10 million bail for fear that Lazarus may flee the country or harm herself. Her trial began in 2012, and the story made for a large media spectacle. For this case, there wasn't a lot of evidence. The main pieces were the testimony that Lazarus had stalked Sherri, for which her lawyer denied, the DNA evidence which her lawyer argued had been mishandled, and the journals. However, the jury decided to convict Lazarus of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to 27 years in prison, and she will be eligible for parole when she is 79 years old. The whole trial is available on YouTube to watch. During the trial, it was revealed that Rutan and Lazarus had kept in touch in the years following Sherri's murder, even vacationing in Hawaii together. Rutan broke down several times on the stand and described his time with Lazarus as a mistake. After Lazarus's conviction, Sherri Rasmussen and his wife filed a civil lawsuit against the city. They alleged that the LA Police Department actively protected Lazarus, and the fact that Lazarus was able to have access to the evidence throughout the years was wildly inappropriate. A lot of evidence that had originally been in the file was missing forever, with only one DNA sample left remaining. Their suit was eventually dropped in the courts, and when they appealed, a judge ruled that they would have needed to have filed the suit on or before the year 2000. The California Supreme Court declined to hear the case in 2013. And Jennifer Butterworth, now Jennifer Francis, also filed a civil suit alleging negligence in the department, accusing the department of purposely destroying evidence. She also alleged that because she kept digging into the Rasmussen file, she suffered retaliation in the workplace from her supervisors until she agreed to drop it. The retaliation allegedly continued after Lazarus's conviction because she had cooperated with the detectives. However, there was no evidence to corroborate her statements, and the judge ruled for the city in 2019. Lazarus's lawyers filed an appeal in 2013, and it unanimously upheld her conviction. Any updates to this case, and I will do a follow-up. However, it seems that there will only be appeals, which would be a miracle for Lazarus if she won. The investigation into corruption and cover-ups is still ongoing in the LA Police Department, but unless more whistleblowers come forward, that also seems unlikely. Anyways, that was all for this case. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Subscribe if you haven't already for more content, and let me know what you'd like me to do next. Thank you all for watching and your continued support. I really appreciate it, and it means a lot. Have a good day, and be safe out there.